My dream was always to be a data analyst, to make decisions out of data. COVID happened, I was laid off, I graduated, and I'm like, what just happened?
You have an elevator company, you have a solar company. How have you grown this? How have you grown this particular empire?
Because remember, we were developers. When you're a developer, you seek elevators because you need elevators in your house.
So seeing an opportunity in getting into
because as a consumer, when you go through the person directly handling this, there's a lot of backlogs, a lot of gaps, a lot of maneuvering that probably is not necessary.
Good evening and welcome to the Late Night Business. My name is Ilhan, and as always, each and every week we have a very interesting show lined up, and the guest I'm about to have a conversation with, she wears so many different hats, literally, and I'm going to be sharing, or rather she's going to be sharing with us some of her interesting experiences that she's actually been through in the businesses she's actually a part of. Quite an interesting show lined up. But before I get to introduce my guest, I'd like to remind you that on the 25th of April, we're having a Business Conquest Masterclass with Michael Joseph at Nairobi Cinema, and tickets are going for only 800 bob. You can get your tickets on madfun.com, and as always, we're coming to you from the Capital Club, the place you need to be as an entrepreneur, because the interesting thing about being part of the Capital Club is that so many different amenities within this particular area. We're filming from one of the meeting rooms that can actually host your particular guests and your clients at. There's a, there's a gym, there's a sauna. You can literally spend your day from beginning to evening at the Capital Club. The guest I'm speaking about is one of the directors at Amco Group. She wears so many hats, literally, and it's quite an interesting conversation that you have lined up. I call her Honey because that's amongst her many names, that's the name that has literally stuck with me, because I've never found someone who's called Honey. Honey, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're the first Honey that I know, H-A-N-I.
Yes, that's a Somali name.
It's a very interesting name. I've never heard it. I think once I saw it, I'm like, that's the name I'm going to be calling you.
Yeah, but I do have an unofficial name. So my official name is Ilhan. Yeah, so it's an Arabic name that means inspiration. So it's like, so I think it's way better than Honey, I guess.
I mean, Honey has stuck with me. I refuse to call you.
I think it's way better than Honey.
So I call you Ilhan.
I think you can, since you're my friend, you should call me Honey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the first question I like starting all the interviews, what exactly are you most grateful for today?
Wow, that is a very interesting question. Based on what I was doing, what happened today morning. But I feel like I'm grateful for my health. I think, which is really important, because being healthy is really, it safeguards you from a lot of things as a human being. I think it sort of gives you the independence to walk around and to be grateful for, which other people don't actually have who are in that kind of space.
I remember we connected through a different particular project.
Correct.
And you told me, I remember after the project you mentioned to me, I do more than what exactly it is that you connected through.
Yeah.
And you mentioned to me about the family business, and I think I'd like to start that particular journey. You're of Somali origin, right?
Correct.
And you're part of a family business, the Amco Group.
Correct.
And it's there's so many interesting things that you're doing, and I'd like just to break it down to the audience, especially how exactly that particular genesis came to be. Okay. Maybe you can just take me through the journey behind the family business, Amco. How did it come about?
Wow, that's a long story, but I'm talking.
We have all the time.
You know, I think Amco started as a retail business. So my mother my mom was married to a Kenyan, so my dad moved to Mogadishu when Mogadishu was Mogadishu for job. Yeah. So he finished his schooling and he went there as a translator between English and Somali. So that's how
That's in the 80s or 70s?
That is in the 80s.
80s,
yeah.
So that was before Mogadishu became the war and everything.
The war, and everything. It was very stable and very economical. So he went there to look for a job, and then that's how he found my mom. They got married. My mom was a gold trader, so she used to go to India, buy gold, and do like just normal gold trade business. So when the war happened, they moved to Nairobi to seek that shelter and peace, since my dad was a Kenyan. So I think they just started pole. So my mom had a bit of savings, and so with that savings she got the idea, because she used to travel a lot. So she got the idea of actually bringing some few pieces of clothing. So she had money, so she had sent I think one of her sisters who was going to Bangkok, and she's like, could you kindly buy me some clothes with this money so that I can actually start trading? And they lived in like a 1-bedroom apartment then with 3 kids. So they were just like a normal family. And my dad used to be a translator, so he went to look for
so dad was still doing the translating job,
yeah,
and mom was the hustler.
Was the hustler, moving things around. So with that small amount of money that she traded with for clothing and the retail business, turned into like a good amount of income, whereby they bought a house in Italy. And with that kind of progress, I think things maneuvered in a way that they probably did not expect. And then they started building a small shop with
still in
Mabati,
Italy.
Still in Italy, with Mabati. So the more clients that they got, the more also they saw the opportunity to invest in a retail shop. Can we actually do a retail shop?
So initially, what was exactly what they trading in?
Clothing, like
just clothing, just normally, just clothing.
Yeah, you see the way Isli is right now.
Yes, yes.
We started that trading business. You see,
that was in the 80s or 90s.
No,
90s.
Yeah. They first opened their shop at 1998. So they came here in 1994. I was born here. So they started that business, and then the business became fruitful in 1998. Yeah. So when people came from Somalia, other people came in. And things just developed into something.
So your family is one of the guys they go towards building the retail business.
Correct.
You know, metengeneza isili.
Sisi ndo tumetengeneza isili. So we with that, I think the concept of investments came into the picture, because the cash flow increases. You get to understand that you have safety with the basic necessities that you have shelter, you have food. So what else can you do with the surplus of investments that you've gotten? So they got the idea of real estate. And so we started.
Interesting. And so why did you now, so primarily you're in the retail business, you've already created your space, and they've already started, trading, and it's successful.
Yes.
So in real estate, why did this start?
So she had a lawyer that was managing her legal activities and all that. So the lawyer advised my mom that, I think the most profitable investments and return on investments with high ratio you can get is with real estate. And my mom had no idea with real estate. She was a developer, meaning she developed.
Yeah, she developed, yes.
But she had no concept of, I build a house, I build a property and take rent from that. And because she was a hustler, so so she didn't have that mentality. But the idea came in, so we moved from Isli and we took Hamia Parklands. We bought our own house in Parklands. That was our first house in Parklands. And then the idea came in buying a property. She bought a land just right next to Parklands. And she hired a developer, and also at that time she just had the investments. But then my brother was also finishing school in architecture, so he came in at a very young age, and he just they maneuvered. I think the beauty with our community is that how do I say, they're risk takers. Somalis will risk everything. I'm not like people would risk and everything just to get something out of in return. Even if they lost, they've tried.
At least they give it their best.
Yeah, they give it their shot. They wouldn't be people who would be very passionate.
It's all or nothing.
It's all or nothing. So that concept came in, and Amco is Amco right now in the last 25 years, but we've gone through ups and downs. We've lost a lot. We've actually lost so much to be where we are at the moment. So I think in a brief context is that we've came from I think with the strength of my mom and also her having 10 kids, 10, I'm the fourth born, and raising a family and coming from war, coming to a culture that is really different from her, maneuvering that aspect, I think made her a very strong woman. And with that, I think there's so much resemblance and reflection from her towards me. And I think it's very important for us to uptake that, because we would not give it to someone else. And that's why, like, I got educated in the States. I was earning a good income in the States, but I had to come back for my family. So it's something that is really important, very grounded within our context and culture.
Let me just also take you back, because it's very, very interesting, because, in most of from what I see, in the Muslim society, it's usually probably the man taking over. But here it is that your mom, she's the one taking charge, and the hustler in the front face is the one hustling. How did that happen? How was that particular perception within the community? Or is it in Somalia it's normal?
You know, I think what people confuse is the religion and culture.
Religion, yes, I think that's what you presumed. Yes. Yeah, I think probably yes.
Yes. So religion is really different from culture. The religion is very open for a woman to be very independent, as long as she can work in the context of her marriage and does not disobey. I mean, I don't mean it in the context of being submissive to your husband, but does not go in the outside the context of your marriage between what you and your husband has agreed. But I think the beauty of my mother was that, and my father was that, they never came from families that had money. So it was a survival tactic, and probably because they had nothing to lie on, to lie back behind. Because she left her family in Somalia. She has no. The only person she actually knows in Kenya is my father. You know. So the supportive mechanism they had between themselves was a really strong uphold. That was a strong balance. But remember, coming from a culture that is really conservative, there was always a passive aggressiveness. You know, as much as there was room for space and improvement and a way of interacting. The beauty of it was that my dad was very supportive, because there's no way they had no way to return home. Their home was them.
They had to build the home.
They have to build the home.
Because they came from Somalia after everything, just to start and rebuild here again.
Yes.
And just having been a witness of this particular journey, what are some of the lessons that you derived from your mother and your dad growing up that primarily probably inculcated for you also to want to be involved in the business?
I think one thing I've learned from my parents, especially my mother, is that she holds on. She, like when I say Somalis are risk takers, even if in the upheaval, in the hotness of seats that she sits in the turbulence of a lot of problems that she sits in, she's very calm. She holds on. She's not the person to just wakishika hot things, they just let go. She wouldn't. So she one thing I've learned from her is the patience and the gratitude she holds. I think also religion plays a lot, because anything that she doesn't get, she'd be like, you know, it was not written for me, it was not in my path, it has nothing to do with me. I tried my best, but God had better answers and solutions for that. So for me, I think with religion and also with the type of discipline she has for work, that made a lot of sense. And that's why probably she has a lot of patience to uphold things that probably I wouldn't. Raising 10 kids.
Yeah, I'm like 10 kids and doing all that, and coming from Somalia to do all these things.
And also coming from different clans. You know, my mom and my dad are from different clans. So it's even the interaction between the clans was not as jovial and as sweet as it is right now. Because she's from Somalia, these people are from Kenyan. So even the cultural aspect of it is very different. The way they do, we speak the same language, but the way they do things were like so different.
Interesting.
Things that were very okay to my mom were not okay on the side of my dad.
Interesting. So the cultural interplay.
It was a blind spot sometimes. Yeah.
Interesting. And you'd mentioned something around culture, which is, I find it very, very intriguing. And what's it called? I observed the Somali community. It's very entrepreneurial. You'd mentioned part of the culture is that they are very risk takers. What are some of the culture from the Somali community that actually make them very successful in business?
I think it's the context of trust. Trust has to be there. Success, you know, you have to have wit for you to grind and to go through things and to be very aggressive. Somalis are very aggressive and Somalis would stand in front of you and say they know things and they don't. And you know why? Because he sees another Somali doing it. So she's like, if this guy can do it, me pia naeza fanya. What do I need? Is it capital? Yeah, I'll look for capital. What else? So they wouldn't be, they're people who get an idea, they base on that idea and they bring a product. Not because of anything else, because of that cultural, egoistic kind of sense that they have, and they have so much pride in themselves. You know, they have so much pride. They wouldn't want to go look for help, or they would do things, even if they'll ban, they'll do it. They'll still do it.
And there's an aspect you've mentioned about looking for capital. I think I've heard about this, and I'm sure primarily even the audience watching this have actually also heard about it. The aspect of capital, whereby within the community you guys bring capital together for someone to succeed. How does that happen?
I think the beauty of it is, you know, Mimi, I know until my 10th grandfather. Do you know your 10th grandfather?
I think only the ones I know are dead.
No, me, I can say my
Yeah.
name.
Uh-huh.
Ilhan, Abdullah, Muhammad, Dahir, Osman, Gassi, Qolof, Ma'alin, Siyad, Awad, Darmus. Like, I can name my ancestry.
Wow, I can't. Yes.
So the beauty of, and I said it's trust, because if I steal your money, my brother will pay it. My clan will pay it. So hakuna mahali natoroka kwenda. So there's that trust in a way that if you're building something, I have the idea. The budget is this one. Oh, you bring X, I bring Y, he brings Z, all that.
So it's the whole clan that brings it together.
It's a clan. It's also a brotherly business that you don't have to be in the same clan.
Yeah.
As long as there's trust, as long as I know kesho kutoroka, naweza pata mtu can be liable for this, then we can do business together. And that's why there's capital, there's infrastructure, and there's produce based on that, because you'd always, and that produce would be equitable to your ratio of investment that you've done.
So how does it work?
So let's say if the investment is around 30% of the income, see, it will be divided based on the property that you've taken. So you'll have probably 7 properties, you'll have 3, you'll have 2, and that's just how it is.
Oh, so primarily, let me try to put it into context. So I want to start a business that's worth 10 million. Let's use that as an example. So how does the community come to pull together towards this?
Remember, it's not a community. It's the trust people have within themselves. So it's, and that comes from the family aspect of it. You know, the family is way tight. There's nothing as important as a family unit when it comes to Somali people. So, and that's why, and the traceability of your family is also really important. So, and not everyone is trustworthy, and Somalis. I'm not saying every Somali is trustworthy, but it just be based on the relationship you have with your friend or with the family or with the community. You bring the idea. The idea is accepted. The person who has that investment can come and invest, and you just build. It's just like a pitch, a business pitch. You pitch it, the investor gets interested, he gives you the money, he funds it. At the end, there's more investments, because umejengewa nyumba, unachukua rent, ama inauzwa, you get back your money. So that's how it moves.
And I know in terms of the religious part, I know primarily any investment or any loan does not attract any interest. So how does it work? In the sense that I contributed onto this particular project. Once you're able to recoup your money, I pay you back. How does it happen? How does the other person benefit?
Because your money was in liquid form, isn't it? Now it's an investment aspect of it, and it is more, and the return on investment was based on me building a property, isn't it?
Yes.
So your interest was that whatever cash flow you have has been translated
into an investment.
And this is your investment. So it has nothing to do with profits, and it has everything to do with the agreeable arrangement or contract that you had between, and has it been fulfilled?
And is it? You mentioned trust a lot. Is the trust, what's it called, converted into a contract, or is this by word?
No, it goes through legal agreements.
Oh, there's also legal agreements.
What do you mean?
No, I'm always just I'm just asking all these things from a point, like, I don't know, I'm just asking. And I'm very curious, because I'm coming from a different culture.
100%.
So there are also legal contracts?
Yes,
because I'm always told, I don't know, I have a friend of mine who was telling me most of these agreements just through a handshake.
No, it's a legal contract, because, ini pesa ya mtu. Yeah, and this person requires trust. That handshake would not suffice if you die.
That's an interesting angle. So Lisema talifanya hivi hakuna handshake, it has its own time.
It has its own time.
Interesting. And then, so let me also just come back to the story, because I know there's so many things we're going to be discussing about. So you've grown up in this particular family. What's it called? Your mom had 10 kids. You're number 4. Mom has actually, set up the retail in Isili, gotten into real estate. And then for you, your personal journey, I know after finishing university, you went to the States temporarily. And you have a very interesting story. Maybe let's go to that story, because I think that's why we actually met up. You got into design at one particular point in time.
Correct.
How did that come about? Let's go, because I'm going to shift this story. There's so much to you. All right.
I think, as I said, we are very curious people.
Yes, it's fine. Somebody you take the risk. You found yourself in the United States.
And you run with it.
And you found yourself in the United States.
Yeah, I found myself. So I finished my undergrad here in finance. And then I sat with myself and I was like, what do I do after this? And then my friend, who we just graduated together, was like, there's a forum here. there are universities in the US that are coming to seek international students. Why don't we go there? I had no ambitions to actually pursue something outside. So what happened was I went, I applied, and it's just, I got accepted. But the problem was I never told my mom that I want to pursue this. No. My mom was like, where are you going? Going to the States. And she's like, I'll say it in Somali. So she said, can the sky touch the ground? No, you will never go to the States.
How did you force your way through?
I did not force my way through. So what happened was, because I had applied to a very prestigious university called George Washington. It's at DC. So I had applied for a master's in applied economics. So I was like, I know if I get the admission letter and I pass it to my dad, it's just going to be a true pass. Because I know if my dad says yes, my mom will say yes.
So at least the sky will touch the ground.
The sky will touch the ground. So my mom was like, and I got the application. I got the admission. Once I got the admission, I took it to my dad. My dad read the admission, and he was like, "That's okay. You go pursue your master's." So me, I just hid behind my dad's shoulders.
And that's how. Interesting. So on that note, you're going to take a short commercial break. So we let the sky touch the ground for a minute, and then we'll come back and find out how her journey actually was in the United States and something very interesting she did there, and then how exactly she's now back in the family business. So see you after the break. Welcome back to the show. Before you went on a break, Han, you were just taking us through that interesting journey as to how exactly the sky and the ground got to meet. You cannot get it if you're joining us now, but if you watch the show from the beginning, you'll get this particular inside joke. So the sky and the ground managed to finally meet. You found yourself in the United States.
Yes.
How did you find yourself as a designer?
So I finished my master's in 2020. And then I was working for 3M as a data analyst. I was a senior data analyst.
So you're doing your master's but also working at the same time?
Yes. So I was a senior data analyst. I was working. I was just in a good mood. COVID happened. I was laid off. I graduated, and I'm like, what just happened? So my dream was always to be a data analyst. You know, to analyze data, to understand the variables in data, to read data, to understand the problem, to make decisions out of data. So for me, my whole vision was to climb the corporate ladder, you know, be a senior manager, work through your way out and just make things work. So I finished, my job everything was good until COVID happened. So when COVID happened, people got laid off. I got laid off. I was sitting in my house. I was like, what? There's debt. You are a graduate.
Because you go to the States, you have to, the debt, school debt.
Yeah, school debt. So I'm like...
States took you like to Nideni.
That's big So I sat with myself, I'm like, and people in Nairobi will never understand. People think, you know, being in the States, like money falls from the tree. You know, people think like you have better opportunities. Yeah, there are opportunities, but things are not as good as they looked during that time of COVID. But before that, I was also, so in my free time, remember I had no family in the States, so I stayed in hostels, so I had normal friends, like university friends and workmates and colleagues that I did. So the time that I was probably alone in my house, I used to create things from plants around me. So I'm a water sign also. I don't know if you're good in astrology.
Yeah, I'm not good in astrology. You'll teach me.
So in my creative sense, I like colors, so I pick flowers, I pick things around me, and I just make a construct of like an art. And that would give me a solitude sense of me, like just harmonizing with my feelings because I have no one else to talk to about my
You're just alone.
I'm just alone.
Yeah.
So I'm like playing around with my things. It gives me a peace of mind and all that. So my friend came to me and she was like, these things would look really good in a print. Why don't you just expand this on a print? I expanded it and she's like, why don't we try this on a print, on a fabric? And I'm like, on a fabric? And then the idea just something just clicked in my head and I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we tried with cotton, silk and polyester just to see how good the print would look on the different types of fabrics.
All right.
So when we identify the fabric to the print, then definitely as a woman, you'd be like, oh my God, this fabric would look good in a dress. The silhouette would look like this. So I my creativity just took. I went downhill. So when I did that, I had a little savings with me. So I was like, why don't I make a collection and see how would it maneuver? Because I'm home. There's not, you cannot. It's
COVID. Everything is grounded.
Everything is grounded, and it's even worse in the States. If you're not going outside to Walmart to go pick something, you'll be utasimamishwa na askari ulizo unaenda wapi. So it was just ni wewe tu. It's just you and yourself. So I started playing with my design work and I started creating my first collection. So I created 12 pieces of clothing. So and then in between the process of creating and consulting designers and cutting the fabric and just maneuvering through that process, I was on Instagram and there was an apply shot for designers in New York Fashion Week. So I was like, let me just apply it. Who cares? I just applied.
The Somali attitude.
The Somali attitude. So I just applied. When I applied, curiosity, literally, I got a call for like 2 weeks. The applications were sent. I didn't get no email, so I got a phone call. I was like, hi, are you Ilhan? You're from Nayo Sayo? I didn't even have a brand name. I didn't have a brand name. So I was like, yes, my name is Ilhan Dahir. So did you submit this and this? And they were like, yeah. And then they were like, could you kindly send us the collection? We test the quality of the fabric. If it meets the standard within our criteria of Fashion Week, then we'll get back to you. So I sent the things to New York. Then I'm in Minnesota. I sent the things to New York. They got back to me and then they were like, can we actually have a physical meeting with you? I went there. They interviewed me. I got a shot at New York Fashion Week. Just
from someone who just experimenting, found themselves there.
Exactly. So I got a shot at New York Fashion Week, and it was the most overwhelming thing I've ever done. You know, being outside the fashion industry and being inside is just totally different. So it's a fashion week. It's a huge event that happens in New York. I just became a designer from a data analyst.
All of a sudden, just from playing with fabric, experimenting, you found yourself in the New York Fashion Week.
So there's a pre-shoot event. There's a pre-model evaluation. You have to evaluate the models.
Even the models have to be evaluated.
Yeah, you have to evaluate your models. You have to pick and choose the makeup that they're going to wear. You have to audit the stadium. Like they would it's like you've already taken the course. You know, so it was like. Everything was just so experimental for me that I took in a way that also, remember, I had no family. Me going there, you also need support. You know, designers that have like assistants, they have family.
You're just alone.
I'm just alone. So it was so overwhelming. It was something that I can, till now, I'm like, wow, did you just go through that process? Because, you know, I came from a suit and office and, you know, from an email and, you know, I came from logic. I came from logic and I come here with glitz and glamour and so much body and so much freedom and people are just happy and, you know, so I was like, wow, this is really interesting. So I went through the show. It happens every February from the 9th to the 11th. I went through the process. I was among, I think, 9 designers to showcase. And then once I finished showcasing, all my pieces got sold.
Wow.
On the show. So when my pieces got sold on the show, so what? What happens? So for me, I never had the business mentality of a brand.
Yeah.
You have to build a brand.
Yeah.
You have to tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a community.
You
Mine was just
selling.
survival.
Yeah.
Like do something with your mind.
Does that make money?
Just make money.
Yeah.
So when I came back from Fashion Week,
Yeah.
the little money, I got good investments, but it never came into my mind that I need to build a brand. I need to build a brand.
Yeah.
And with that brand, you can get funding, you can get investors, you can do so much with it.
Yeah.
So I'm so analytical, so logic. So so I never had this aspect of that marketing side of it. So, and it took me a while to get the hang of it. So I had to like attend like I had to attend seminars, like be in the same room with designers, just to understand. But I got a lot of setbacks. So for me, I can get a meeting with a buyer, a senior buyer from a big store, but it will not convert. First, the way I look. My look as a Muslim and what I'm producing was not different. Conservative. It was just a normal women collection. So that gap was also a huge barrier. So people would listen to me, would like my concept, but it would not translate into a business because of how I looked. And also, you know, when you're in fashion, you have to like accessorize. You just be extra.
The extra glove, which is not you.
I didn't even have. I didn't even know. So, but with the years, you get to understand. You get to experiment. You get to know because you're transcending within the industry. You're going through the industry. That I think design work has really made a lot of impact with me as a person because I understood.
You've designed your hijab?
No. I understood a lot of things. I understood a lot about my personality as an individual. And I think that made a lot of sense when I came home. And I'm still doing my business as well. And it just made a lot of sense to me now when I'm taking through meetings or when I'm meeting people. I understand the context of presence, you know, which I didn't actually mind.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that was a big high. You went to seek your master's, you thought you'd go for this career, you found yourself in fashion, succeeded at it. What convinced you to come back home, to come and be part, also still be a part of the family business, to still grow your business?
My mom. My mother.
So you decided the sky and the land
should separate.
So they attached back, so they decided to separate again.
Yeah, it decided to separate again.
What convinced you to come back? Because I know that's always the biggest hurdle. What's it called? You have your own dreams, but the family has also built a big dream. What made you come back? You
know, as I said, remember, with our culture. So I was like, you know, I used to talk to my mom, but I had a feeling. She advised me to come home, but she said it in multiple times. You know, you should come home. We're building a project. There's a project coming. I think you'll have a lot of experience, all that, and it did make sense. But there's a way she said it that anchored a lot of change in me. So I was like, I came home. I came home in October of 2022, and it took me around 6 months just to get to the flow. But I think the huge break from where I was in terms of design and the independence I got in the States was like, you know, in my culture, I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. And there's a lot of I don't know how to say it in English, but
like a Somali take us subtitles.
There's a lot of obedience when it comes to your parents. Like people attribute success to the obedience you have with your parents. Like when you see people are successful, they always attribute it to
the obedience.
No, they always attribute it to their parents. Like that means that my mom and my dad, I don't know how to say it. Like they gave me good. They prayed for me. They prayed over me. Or they gave me good blessings. They gave their blessings to me, and God has accepted. And you know, it's also very important in religion where there's a saying that says, obey Allah, the Prophet, and then they say obey your mother 3 times. Obey your mother. Obey your mother. Then comes your father. So that is a huge, I think, a framework when it comes to family. Yeah.
So you'd mentioned how religion primarily played a big role in the obedience of your mom came into be. So you came back home. I remember the last time you also invited me to one of the new big projects that you're doing as Amco.
Yeah.
Take me through it, because I was so fascinated as to how big you've grown this one of the arms of Amco.
Yeah, so so Amco has a lot of, we've been in the real estate industry, but we've also maneuvered through it. So we have Vox Elevator that does lifts. We have Crystal Solution that provides solar energy and renewable energy in terms of green solutions. We have Zada Consult that gives a lot of real estate management and consultancy to our community that are really coming into the industry. And we also have Belva Homes, which is a landmark of our luxury apartments that we are building here in 6th Parklands. Yeah.
Take me through the Belva home. You've given me a small tour. I think you need to do probably we'll get another time to do some video there.
Yeah,
it's such a huge project.
So it's called 3408 Belva. 3408 is the landmark landmark of the area. Belva is a Latin word for beautiful views. So it compromises of two sections, section A and section B. Section A was the one that was facing Karura, the one you and I saw. So it has a 3-bedroom that's around 2,700 square feet. And a 5-bedroom simplex that goes around 3,800 square feet. So in a whole slab is just you and your neighbor, and then the other side of section B has 3 bedrooms that are on 3 apartments and 1 5-bedroom duplex. Yes. Oh,
interesting.
Yes.
And how did the project come to be? Just take me through. Yeah, because what's it called? Just sometimes when you speak here, it seems evil too, but it's such a huge project.
You know, this is almost a very pivotal point for us when it comes to real estate, because you know, when we did our feasibility study, we understood that people have the money to invest in real estate, but what you're building is not at the capacity of investment that they're looking for. So when we did a feasibility study, we understood that. And also through our design and taste when we build, we have a lot of a taste when it comes to space. I think as
the space is huge.
The space and also the accommodation of air circulation and natural light. We've gotten rid of a lot of hanging chandeliers, or also we've given space to air circulation because of the green vertical space that I think you've seen that we've accommodated to the building, so that the building has proper sufficient of air. And also the accommodation of also minimalism when it comes to finishing through our finishes. Yeah.
Interesting. And the project primarily for Belva Homes, you're targeting the high end.
Correct.
Why is that?
Because
I think real estate all across, I think everybody's trying to most in the market are trying to target the low end. You're targeting the high end.
Because of the market size and the opportunities that are on that side level. Because as I told you, with our feasibility study, we understood that people with that kind of an income or that kind of an investment are looking for 2 things: space, and they're looking for solitude when it comes to noise. And I think you've seen that. We've seen that in the way we build things. So the price tag, the people who meet our price tags are people who are very confident or have a third-party investment opportunities when it comes to investing with us, or it becomes a family home for them. Yeah.
Interesting. And so you primarily the Belva home is primarily 2 and 3 bedrooms.
No. It's a 3-bedroom, a 3-bedroom and a 5-bedroom simplex.
Oh, 3 and 5, yes.
And a 5-bedroom duplex. Yes.
Interesting. And also you've mentioned as part of the group.
We also have a penthouse on the 23rd floor. So we have 3 penthouses that have the swimming pools and the gym area, and each floor is its own penthouse. Yes.
Interesting. And also part of the group you've mentioned you have an elevator company, you have a solar company. How have you grown this? How have you grown this particular empire?
Because remember, we were developers. When you're a developer, you seek elevators because you need elevators in your house.
So it's seeing an opportunity.
Yes, because as a consumer, when you go through the person directly handling this, there's a lot of backlogs, a lot of gaps, a lot of maneuvering that probably is not necessary. So we were like, why don't we offer the services? Because nisi ndo tumeanza hizi vitu, and the problem is with us, because we've identified there's a problem. Why don't we actually offer for a better solutions to this problem that we as developers are actually experiencing to new upcoming developers? Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And now that you're back into the business, what's it called? and helping now take this over to the next generation. How does your day-to-day look like now? How do you juggle fashion? How do you juggle real estate? How do you juggle all these particular business interests?
You know, the beauty is also with family. So everyone, I remember we were 10 kids. So six of us work in the family, 4 are in school. So majority of the people that are working within and making major decisions come from the family. So I have a sister who works with the UN, but also has time for our family. My brother who has his own businesses, but comes back to the family. So we maneuver that. It's not like a one-man's job. It rotates around, and decisions are made like that. Yes, but my day-to-day involves a lot of how do I say, facilitations when it comes to the project. The timelines of it, the marketing of it, and also understanding the technological innovations and how we can improve our projects with tech, because tech is revolutionizing a lot of things when it comes to the space of real estate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I also think you mentioned to me some of the technological advances that you've actually put onto the Belva homes. Just what are some of the new things that you've introduced? Because sometimes I feel like I'm doing a disservice. We're trying to explain, but we'll need the visual. And probably you can check out. Also, Belva is on social, right?
Yes, our Belva is on social. Yeah. Yes.
All right.
So we understood from the context of what's our next step. Once the project is ending in 2025. Which is next year. So we wanted to understand the context of layering our investments. How do we layer them in a way that it makes sense to us and it makes sense to the output of whatever investments we are putting on. So we understood the importance of technology in real estate, and we came up with a company. It's a new company called authoritative. So we came up with authoritative to revolutionize the way of way we collect rent, because we as developers, we either give a third party to collect for us rent, or we hire someone who's an accountant to come and collect rent. And the way it is handled is really so behind. You're still working with Excel sheets. You're still working with maneuvering with a Microsoft Word. Well, you can get a system that caters for that kind of concept and also provides accessibility, accountability, and also efficiency when it comes to you as a developer. Because the biggest, remember, we always create things from the problems we face. So we've created this technology to also assist us not only in collecting rent, but seeking abundance within the community. So we have a third-party service within the technology, whereby if you're a plumber or an electrician or someone who does nails or a teacher or someone who provides services to tenants, why would you go look for somewhere? Why would you go look for work in Lavington? While you can get the same kind of clientele within the operational space that you work on. Interesting. Yes. So
trying to create the whole ecosystem within under one particular group and create everything.
Yes, and the beauty of it is going to be gamification. So, for example, if I'm a plumber and you request a plumber within the space of authoritative, what happens is that the plumber is already qualified, has already been quality verified, checked. Once the person has been checked and comes through our system, when he does your work, you rate him as he rates you. Because sometimes the problem might not be a plumbing problem, it might be a carelessness of the tenants who's probably living in that. So we're trying to reduce the fixed cost when it comes to operational expenses with the developers, but also give that accountability access of the transparency of gamification. Yes.
Interesting. Yes. My goodness, time literally flies so fast. I can't believe it. We've gone through around 42 minutes, but I've really enjoyed this particular conversation. It's nice. I've learned a lot from the Somali community.
Yes.
And I think hats off to you and
I think people should also have a different. People should understand us in the context of we are Kenyans.
Yes,
we're not
you
Somalis.
Are. Yes.
We are Somalis we are Somalis, but we are part of Kenya. As much as we are Somali from Somalia, there's always tension in TikTok when people talk about how did these people become successful? There's that kind of like how do I say this kind of
what is it called? Perception.
Yeah. Yes, that how we get our money or how we do things, or these people are hard workers.
Yeah.
Like
and I think you've showed us how from nothing
Yeah,
build this.
These people are very hard workers, and I think we're very open to business compared to other communities. We give businesses to people. We offer services. Sisi hatuna discrimination ya usomali peke yake.
To anybody, so long as it just makes sense.
It does make sense, yes.
I think we need to do like another show just to what's it called, demystify all these particular narratives. What do you think about the Somalis, and just making sure you just put it there? Because
there's a lot of bad publicity, bad perception about us. And people need to get to know us, and that's why we are creating an expo. I think I shared that.
Yes, you also mentioned to me about the expo that's actually coming up. Maybe we can mention that as we come to a close. Yes, there's an expo that's coming.
So remember, everything we create comes from a problem. So the problem we create, the reason why we are creating this expo is to bring the East African community together.
What's the name of the expo?
East Africa International Real Estate Expo. So we brought it in the context of the problems developers have is finished works. People know how to build a structure, but they don't know the sustainability concept of how to finish, what styles to take that are more sustainable. You know, people just build for the sake of building, and that costs a lot when it comes to operational cost, when it comes to now tile in a vujika. There's so many things that are happening. So what we came to understand is, can we bring the East African community together as developers within the industry, so that Nairobi people can learn from Kampala, Kampala can learn from Dar es Salaam, Dar es Salaam can learn from Burundi.
You're bringing the region together.
We're bringing the region together because there's a lot. I think when it comes to capacity development, when it comes to urbanization, Nairobi is far the best when it comes to East Africa. So we wanted Nairobi, we wanted people from the East African community to come and learn from Nairobi as we learn from them. We'd also have a photo exhibition that showcases East Africa's culture, heritage, customs, and we'll show you how urbanization has really changed the context of who we are. Right now, Dennis, what we're looking for is outside our basic necessity. You know, we have a house, we have shelter, we have food, but what you're looking for is surplus, which was not there with our parents. Our parents was just a basic necessity. Can we live within the basic norms? But that has changed with architecture, has changed with urbanization, and we are bringing that context, the context of how has urbanization really changed, because we're having a huge problem when it comes to land zoning within, I think you've seen it in the news with Kilimani and Kileleshwa, and all that is about people don't know much about what's happening within the industry. So we're bringing investors from China, Turkey, and also mostly in India, to come and show us their finished works, because majority of developers get their finished works from there. So as they come and transcend within the expo, they also get to learn who the East African community was. Like how has this changed within the facility through the photo exhibition as they maneuver, and with also the support from the government as well.
Interesting. So when will the event be?
It's going to be on the 15th to the 17th of August.
Interesting. So on the 15th to the 17th, it's at Sarit Center, right?
Yes.
At the Sarit Center, what is the place called? Where the exhibitions usually take place. I think it's only on the 30th.
But we're maneuvering within Sarit or KCC because it's a regional concept.
So you haven't settled yet?
We haven't settled yet.
Yeah.
But probably
I'm friends with Sarit, so but let us know.
Yes.
But I've really enjoyed this particular conversation. Hope you've learned a thing or two from Hani. And also maybe you've changed your perception about the Somali community. You've just seen a story of one and how much you can actually learn from in terms of how they are go-getters. It's either all or nothing, and you've seen how going for it all can actually transpire to this. So thanks so much for having watched the show. Until next time, I'll see you right here on the Late Night Business.